はい。では、始めます。はい。立つ。はい。礼。おはようございます。どうぞ。オンラインの皆さん、おはようございます。
おはようございます。
はい。おはようございます。はい。ビデオをオン。お願いします。はい。Please leave your videos on. はい。暑いですね。It's hot. Yes. I tried adjusting the speed and temperature. I hope it works. 書いてみましょう。If it gets too cold, please let me know. はい、おはようございます。おはようございます。はい、I'll just wait a couple more minutes. Everybody enters. Those of you who are joining us online, please leave your videos on. Any reason why the front bench is empty? Ohayou gozaimasu. Hi, ohayou gozaimasu.
こんにちは、先生。
はい、こんにちは。
おはようございます。
はい、おはようございます。
おはようございます、先生。
はい、おはようございます。All right. So as always, I'm going to start with a little bit of review today. We've covered 6 lessons already, and I saw that many of you had submitted your homework, so I have been correcting. I think some of you may still be left. I think I saw about six of you I still haven't caught up. So I will be doing that today and tomorrow. The rest of you would have received your scores for your online exercises. I know there were some issues. There are still some input errors and things like that. So we are sorting them out. But just for your information, if you encounter any bug or any issue while you're taking the online exercises, please take a screenshot and send an email to the admin team. The email address is available on the website. So you can find the email address, send them an email and say, some issue with exercise for lesson so-and-so, and attach the screenshot. If it's an obvious issue, the screenshot is enough. If it is not clear what the issue is from just the screenshot, you can describe it. Like, for example, some of you had issues inputting English, right? If possible, you can try to do a screen recording in that case, but if you don't have any app for that, if it's difficult, you can explain the problem, right? You can just type and show what it comes as, take a screenshot and send it in. From my side, I can also do it, but the issue is mine is the teacher view and yours is the student view. Some things are different from one to the other. So if you have an issue, please email it separately. はい、おはようございます。どうぞ。はい。では、始めますね。We'll get started. So I'm going to ask the usual question. 今日は何月何日ですか？はい。はい。6月 Excellent. 今日はあ、すいません。I wrote 7 here by accident. 6月1日ですね。1日。The first date of any month is very, very special. We say 1日。明日は何日ですか？明日。6月2人 What is Hutari? Yes, it's for people, right?
Utsuka.
Exactly. これは2日ですね。2日。ね、明日は6月2日です。あさって。New vocabulary. あさって。Day after tomorrow. あさっては何日ですか？
三日です。
そうですね。あさっては6月
月
3日ですね。The third date. So we're still talking about the date. So 1日、2日、3日 and so on. 今日は何曜日ですか？
土曜日です。
今日は
土曜日
土曜日ですね。
土曜日
土曜日。明日は何曜日ですか？日曜日です。
日曜日
あさっては何曜日ですか？
月曜日
Fantastic. あさっては月曜日。あさっては月曜日です。Great. So what I wanted to do was, we didn't have time to review a few of the lessons, exercises together. We're not going to do all of them. We'll just do some of them. We'll just review some of them so that you are clear, because I saw many of you had some issues with this particular exercise. I thought we could review it together in class. So this is an exercise from lesson 4. Lesson 4ですね。You had to basically answer the given question, and the content for the answer was given in the brackets. So what is the first question? 質問 question は何ですか？ Question. 鍵は？はい。What does it mean? どこ is where? What is 鍵? Key, right? As for the key, it's wa particle, right? It's the topic of this conversation. 鍵は, speaking of the key, どこにありますか? Where does it exist? Where is it? Right? Where is it? Where does it exist? どこ, the answer to where is a place or a location. So it's marked with ni particle, right? So what would the answer be?
カバンの中にあります。
Inside the bag, right? So how do you make the sentence?
カバンは
가방 Hi. The topic is the same. So in the question, the topic is kagi. We're talking about the kagi or the key. Where is the key? Then the answer will also start with key, right? As for the key, it's inside the bag. So kagi wa. You don't have to say it, but if you want, you can say kagi wa kaban no naka ni arimasu. Or you can simply omit the topic and just say kaban no naka ni arimasu. Kaban no naka is the location, the place or location where something exists. You have to mark it with ni particle. Yes? When you're talking about where something exists, where something is, iru, imasu or arimasu, it should be marked with ni. The place is marked with ni. Hi, dozo, the next question. Nan desu ka?
玄関に
玄関に
Hi.
スリッパはあります。
缶に
スリッパ。
スリ
Hi.
パスリッパ
Wa?
スリッパはありますか
Surippa wa arimasu ka? What's the question?
Is the slipper in the entrance?
Right? This is again a place or a location. It's marked with ni. So at the entrance, slippers, are they there? Are slippers there at the entrance? And your answer is just going to be yes. So how can you make the full sentence? Hi.
はい
スリッパは
スリッパは
Surippa wa?
玄関にあります。
玄関にありますか
Hi.
あります
So you can make this sentence as simple or complicated as you want because the answer is just hi. So, hi, arimasu. Yes, it's there. Hi, surippa wa arimasu. Yes, the slippers are there. Or, hi, genkan ni surippa wa arimasu. Yes, at the entrance, slippers are there. It's up to you if you want to include this information because it's obvious. You don't have to say it, but you can say it. At the entrance, the slippers are there. But when you omit information, please be careful about the particles, right? The particle is clubbed together with the information. If you omit genkan, you don't need ni. If you leave out surippa, you don't need wa, right? It's attached. They come together. How about the next question?
Nanika arimasu.
Kaban no nakani
Hi. Nanika.
nanika arimasu ka?
What does nanika mean? Is it naniga? No, right? It's nanika. When you attach question word plus ka, it becomes the indefinite form. Not what thing, but rather something, right? Something. So the question is there something in the bag, inside the bag? And inside the bag, what is there? Shashin wa nan desu ka? What is it? Photograph. Exactly. So how do you answer the question? Kaban no naka ni shashin ga arimasu. Yes, there is something in the bag. That something happens to be a photograph. Hai. Kaban no naka ni shashin ga arimasu. Now, in this case, we're using ga particle. We're not using wa particle. Why is that? Because unlike the previous situation, the thing that you're talking about is established in the question. The question makes that the topic. But here, there's no topic, right? It's not a topic. So in the answer, it's just going to become the subject of the verb arimasu. So generally, topics are previously established in a conversation. When you're saying something altogether new, you can use ga particle. And lastly, what is the question? Hondanani nani ga arimasu ka? What's the question? What is there in the bookshelf, right? Hondana is again a location, so you're marking it with ni particle. In the bookshelf, on the bookshelf, in, an, at, all of these things apply for ni, right? Because in Japanese, there's no distinction. Only in English, we have different ones for different things. So on the bookshelf, what exists? What are the things that exist there? This is?
Eigo no hon.
I?
To France go no
France
hon.
go no hon. To?
Tamil go no hon.
Go no hon. Ga? Arimasu. So you can simply say, Hondana ni eigo no hon to Furansu-go no hon to Tamil-go no hon ga arimasu. You can, if you want, use ya, ya, nado. I saw some people had done that. You can list as many as you want. So, eigo no hon ya, Furansu-go no hon ya, Tamil-go no hon. Last one should be nado ga arimasu. Please don't forget the ga at the end. Right? Along with arimasu, you're going to have to use that ga. It's very important. So you can use ya, ya, nado or to. The difference? What is the difference? When you say to, what does it mean? Means and. What about ya?
It's an exhaustive list.
Yes. When you use to, it is a complete list. That is to say, there's nothing else on that shelf. Only these types of books are there. There's no other type of book. There's no German book. There's no Chinese book. There's only English, French, and Tamil books. But when you use ya, they're examples. There are all kinds of books. These are just some examples of what kinds of books are there. Okay, so I've put a blank sheet for the next ones. In lesson 5, any other questions in lesson 4 exercises? Lesson 4. No, renshu wa daijoubu desu ka? Hi. I did see some errors with this question, so I just want to do this also. There's a translation exercise, page 32. There is a school over there. Yes. Yes. So over there, we're translating it. It's a place, it's a location, right? So you can either say Asoko or Achira or Ano Basho or something. It's very convoluted. Asoko is fine. Asoko? Ni. Very good. Hi. How do you spell Gakko? Hi. Small tsu. Ko is elongated. Gakko ga arimasu. I did see some people missing this. Please make a note. Yes, Gakko has an elongation. Also, I saw some people using arimasu and imasu interchangeably. Arimasu is for inanimate things. Imasu is for animate things. Great. So, asoko ni gakko ga arimasu. So, although the sentence structure is different, but the meaning is the same, you have to think about it in Japanese, right? Don't try to do a literal translation word for word into English. It won't make sense. Think about what you've learned in Japanese and try to use that directly. How about the next one? My dictionary is not here. Hi. Hi. Oh, sorry. Watashi no jisho wa? Very good. Koko ni? Not here. It's arimasu is here, so arimasen. Koko ni arimasen. My dictionary, watashi no jisho. Speaking of my dictionary, this particular thing is not located in this location. So the koko has to be in ni particle, right? Watashi no jisho wa koko ni arimasen. It's not over here. Where is it? It is in my house. How can I say it? Watashi no? Hi. Watashi no ie ni arimasu. So you don't have to complicate it. You can say ie no naka ni arimasu, but you don't have to. It's there in my house. Daijoubu desu ka? Hi.
Koko part can be put it at first.
Koko ni watashi no jisho wa arimasen. You can say it. It's a good question. But one general tip I'll give you, when you're using wa particle, whatever you're marking as the topic will be the first thing that you give in a sentence. These are some general tips. I'm going to erase the slide. Hi.
Sensei, I have a doubt in
Hi.
Second one.
Hi.
So, Genkani sirapu wa arimasu.
Suripa, slippers. Hi.
Should we also answer it as hi arimasu?
Yes. You can mention arimasu. You don't have to say arimasu, but it's clear if you do. Hi. So, based on that question just now, I want to give some general tips about sentence structure. So, generally speaking, Japanese prefer to put things in this sentence structure. They like to give time and place information first. As far as possible, first thing. The only thing that can take precedence before this is topic. So topic is the very, very first thing. It's like, think of it as zero. It should always precede everything else. Then if there is time and place information, give that. And then you proceed with the rest of the sentence. So for example, watashi wa kyoshitsu ni imasu. Because watashi is the topic, I'm going to put watashi first. Kyoshitsu ni watashi wa imasu is okay, but it's a bit unnatural because they prefer to put the topic first. It's like giving importance to something. That being said, when you don't have a topic, subject, if you have a subject instead of a topic, that is, you're marking with ga particle, that tends to come after the time and place information. Like, kyoshitsu ni kaban ga arimasu. Kyoshitsu ni raja-san ga imasu. So if you're using ga particle, it can come later, usually may come later. But I'm sorry, there's an extra stroke there. It usually comes later, but when you're saying the topic, it'll usually come first. It's just a matter of what's preference in Japanese language. Topic is considered a very important thing. It has to always be given first. We haven't learned how to do time except one case. For example, we can talk about the day of the week, the date, or today or something. So in such a case, today, sensei is not at Hayakawa. How can we say it? Hi. Kyou wa hai. Hayakawa ni hai. Sensei ga arimasen? Imasen. Imasen. Today at Hayakawa, sensei is not there. This kyo, it's a time or place information. In this case, there's a time information. So we're giving it precedence. But in case I want to say sensei is the topic of the sentence, then it will move forward. Sensei wa kyo, and kyo does not need any particle, actually. We've used wa here, but it's not necessary. Sensei wa kyo Hayakawa ni imasen. Sensei wa today location ni imasen. As for the teacher, who's now become the topic of the sentence, this is the sensei wa today, or any time information. Getsuyobi. You can give any date or day of the week, whatever you want. Getsuyobi, doyobi, nichiyobi, juyokka, anything. Place ni imasen, imasu, any verb. So this is the preference. If we're going to use a topic, it will come in the beginning. If we're going to just use a subject, then it will come later in the sentence. Daijoubu desu ka? Hai, sumimasen. Hai. There's one last question here. Mr. Tanaka is in that office room over there. The vocabulary for office room has been given in lesson 3. So I think if you go to exercise in lesson 3, there's a little image which has that, right? What is the word for it? Page 24. Shitsu. Shitsu means room. Jima is an office space, like an administrative office space. So Jima Shitsu is office room. Now, how would you translate this? Mr. Tanaka is in the office room. Tanaka-san wa Jima Shitsu ni imasu. That office room over there. That one over there. So either we can say Asoko no jimushitsu, or we can shorten it, right? We can just say ano jimushitsu ni imasu. Tanaka-san wa ano jimushitsu ni imasu. You're using wa here because she's the topic. Oh, speaking of Tanaka, she's in that office room. The office room is the new information here. Daijoubu desu ka? I think lesson 5, many of you did very well on the exercises that I saw online. There's just one thing I wanted to clarify. On page 41, this little calendar is given, and the question is, Otanjoubi wa itsu desu ka? And the one that's highlighted is the 14th. So you're supposed to answer using the calendar. You're not supposed to give your birthday here, right? So please, those of you who haven't done it yet, be careful. If you have completed, I may have marked you wrong because of this. And otanjobi, we use it only for other people. So when you're answering that question, most likely you have to remove the o. unless the question is explicitly about someone else. Raja-san no otanjobi wa itsu desu ka? Raja-san no otanjobi wa 5月14日です. But here it's not Raja-san, it's not mentioned. It usually means they're asking you, but you're given a calendar, right? So you don't have to give your actual birthday here. はい。レッスン5の練習は大丈夫ですか? Any questions on lesson 5 practice exercises? Hi. Now, lastly, lesson 6. I think this is the tricky one. Did anyone have any direct questions about lesson 6 exercise, like something did not make sense? There were some issues, like the image for the, yes? Which exercise? 4.3.
Heavy and light on.
Ah, yes, I know there's a small error on the website. I've made a note of that, so I'll inform. Anything else?
Third one, how many Japanese we have to post it and the answer also we can write.
Yes, you have to give the question and answer for this. Page 48, ask how many in Japanese using the following words. And it says sensei and hitori, right? Plus hitori. So how would we frame this? First, you have to ask how many are there. How do we ask? Sensei wa? Yes. Nannin imasu ka? And what would the answer be? Sensei wa? Hitoru imasu. Great. You can do the same for all three of them. Yes. Hi. And the previous exercise, exercise 2, there's Miss Tanaka over there. Mr. Suzuki is in this classroom. I hope the previous discussion about wa and ga would have helped. So you can review these and see if you got it clarified. If you still have questions, you can ask. Daijoubu desu ka? Hi. Any questions online or here about lesson 6 exercises? Daijoubu desu ka? Hi. I know some of you still haven't completed. Yes?
Small pots are.
Ko. We use the ko counter suffix for key. Yes, kagi. Because there are different shapes and sizes to keys, right? So mine is really for very flat, always flat objects. Key can vary, so we always use ko. It's also considered very, very small object. So the description that fits it better will be the one that takes precedence. So is it small before it is flat? Then go for ko. Ah, hi. Chatto. 何ですか? あ、はい。すみません。Just. はい。ビデオは大丈夫ですか? Not sure how it went somewhere else. All right. So with that, I think we can move into lesson 7. But before that, a quick review of adjectives that we saw in lesson 6. Okay, those are. Yes, so how do we describe these objects? Yes, これは? Ikeyoshi. The right adjective would be? The word is small, right? 何ですか? 小さい. 小さい and 大きい. Big versus small. 小さい、大きい. はい。Long versus short. はい。長い、短い。はい。Heavy versus light. Heavy is 重い。ね、重い。And light is 軽い。重い、軽い。Excellent. So in lesson 7, we'll get started with kanji. We're going to go into some variety kanji now, learning some across the spread. So the very first kanji is for a word that you have known since the very first lesson. The word for name, what is the word for name? Namae. Namae. The na in namae. Kono kanji desu. Kono kanji desu. Na wa chunyomi desu ka? Onyomi desu ka? Chunyomi desu ne. It's a very unique case where the compound word namae uses kunyomi plus kunyomi. It is a compound kanji. There are two kanji, but it's one of those cases it uses Japanese reading instead of Chinese reading. I'll give everyone a minute. You can take out your kanji workbooks. You can start practicing it also. What is this kanji made up of? What are the two katakana you can see here?
It's like who and
Ah, very good.
merged with
And ro.
Ro.
Meeting each other, right? So tha, it's almost tha. There's a very small difference in the stroke, but it's not important. 1, 2, 3, same stroke order plus ro. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 6 strokes. You can kind of keep track of where they're meeting, right? It's almost towards the end of this stroke, but that's about it. It's very easy kanji to learn. You already know the parts. This is the kanji for na in the word namae. Now, what's the story behind this? Actually, this tha katakana, it's a radical with the meaning of crescent moon. And this is also a radical. It's supposed to represent a mouth, that is a human mouth. So the story behind this is, of course, kanji are very old, right? It's like way in the past. And when people were traveling, often you want to go from point A to point B, you take so many days. And sometimes men used to travel at night also, so that they can save time. So when they were traveling at night, and they would meet another person on the road, right? Just to know that it's safe, right? It was a practice for people to announce their names, right? I'm so-and-so of this family, right? Please let me pass. So this was a way of announcing that it's a safe passage. So that's why nighttime, the moon and the mouth, right? Announcing. And you announce your name, right? Your identity. So a person who has nothing to hide is considered safe. So that's kind of what the story for this kanji is. What is the onyomi of this kanji? Hai, me. Now this me will be seen in this compound word. Can you read it? Yume. Yume. You, of course, also has a kanji, but you don't know it yet. So you plus me, onyomi plus onyomi. It has the meaning of famous. That is, a famous person is somebody whose name is known by everybody, right? Everybody knows that name, then you know that that person is well known. That is fame. Yume is actually a na adjective. Na adjective. So for example, if you want to say famous person, how can we say it? A famous person. Hai. Yume na hito. Right? When you use a na adjective, if you want to put it with a noun, right? Adjective plus noun, you have to add na in between. So, yume na hito, a famous person. Yume na hito. Rajinikanto-san wa yume na hito desu. For example, and you could take anybody who's famous. Hai. We'll come back to this. The grammar part we'll see again later. Now, the next kanji, I have already talked about it before. We've been using this word. It's the word that comes, it's the kanji that comes in this word. Sumimasen. Ai, nan desu ka? Kyo. Kyo with elongation, right? Again, in the exercise, online exercise, some people I saw were not typing this. Please add this, otherwise it's wrong. Kyo means today, right? So in the word today, you know one kanji already. Kore wa nan desu ka? Nan no kanji desu ka? Hi, san, nichi no kanji desu. The kanji before that wa kono kanji desu. Kunyomi wa nan desu ka? Ima. Ima means now. Now, this moment, at present, right now. Onyomi wa nan desu ka? Kon. Kon. So, kon combines with other things to make compound words. For example, nan desu ka? Kon shu. Yes. Konshu. Shu means week. So konshu is this week. At present, the week right now. Yes. How about this month? Kon getsu. Getsu. Remember, we use gatsu only for specific month, right? When it's always May, when it's always going to be September, that will be gatsu. But when this month, it's going to change. Like 35 days later, kon getsu will mean a different month. So we're going to use getsu. Kon getsu, the present month. The kon sound is also going to vary sometimes. For example, the word for this year. Nan desu ka? Kotoshi. Toshi. It's the kunyomi of the nen kanji. This is kind of a rare combination. Onyomi plus kunyomi. Onyomi plus kunyomi for one compound word. It's a bit rare. And in all the examples we've seen, I think this is the first one. So kotoshi, this year. We never say konnen. Hi.
Sensei, how it is rare?
Rare in the sense, this combination in other kanji, where one kanji uses kunyomi, another kanji uses onyomi, you don't see it that often in Japanese language. It's not so frequent. So this is one of the few cases. Daijoubu desu ka? Okay, of course, you have this word, kyo. It's completely special. Neither onyomi nor kunyomi appears in this. You just have to memorize. Ima kanji plus nichi kanji. When they come together, you have to read it as kyo. And of course, lastly, when this kanji appears alone, you read it as ima. Right now, this moment. Right? Ima. For example, when you ask for the time, you often use this word. Ima, nanji desu ka? Is what time. We'll learn about it in lesson 10. But what time is it now? That's how we ask in English. Right now, what's the time? Ima, nanji desu ka? Now, this kanji, it's like a little hard to come up with a story. But one thing we like to tell is this. What katakana does it look like? Ra, right? And as you know, Japanese does not have la sound. La is missing, right? L. So singing, right? When you talk about singing, often we use this la, la, la kind of sound, right? So this is supposed to be the filler for singing in Japanese. Ra, ra, ra. Instead of la, 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 it's ra, ra, ra. This is like somebody is singing, right? This is a roof. In their home, right now, you can hear someone singing. So you can use that story if you want, or you can just memorize it. It's up to you. Hi. Hi.
How did they arrive when two of the both different sounds comes together, but we need to pronounce like Q?
It's a bit, so in the cases of kyo, right, completely different pronunciation, nothing to do with onyomi or kunyomi. This is usually because that word may have existed in Japan before Chinese language came to them. Then they had to use Chinese script somehow to talk about that word. So they just put the most sensible two kanji together. But the kanji don't have those sounds. So that's one explanation. Onyomi and kunyomi mixing, honestly, I don't know the reason why this happened historically. Could just be that they imported kanji in different time periods. So during one dynasty, they imported, another dynasty, they imported some more. In this time, I think it could have probably got mixed up. It's not very convenient for us, but hi. Daijoubu desu ka? In this lesson, we're going to learn a few other direction related things. That is right and left. Those of you who learn karate, anyone who's learned karate? Yes? Yeah? I know they sometimes teach this. Hi, ii desu ne. I'm jealous. So in karate, they sometimes teach left and right. Right wa nan desu ka? Migi. Migi. Migi means right hand side. It is the kunyomi. There is onyomi also. Don't worry. Onyomi not so important at N5 level. At CJAT 1 level, you can learn it, but you're not going to use it. Now, what I like about both of these kanjis, they're so easy to learn. So this is supposed to be an arm plus a hand, right? That is, you're extending your hand or arm. It used to look like this, basically. And this is what? Mouth, exactly. It's the same thing. And which hand do we use to eat? Right hand, right? So you can remember hand and mouth, right side. Migi. Migi. And I'll come back to this. Just give me a second. Hi. Now we'll do left. Right? You can flip to the right page. Find the one for left hand side. Kunyomi wa nan desu ka? Hidari. Hidari. Migi. Hidari. Migi. Hidari. Hi. Now coming to the Hidari kanji, this part looks the same, right? This entire left hand portion, it looks the same because again, we're talking about an arm. But the inner part here is different. Which katakana does it look like? Katakana A. That's just to learn the strokes. Actually, this katakana A is a radical. It represents a tool. So you can kind of see this in the picture, right? When people are working with tools, right? If you've done any carpentry or if you've seen someone do some work, you would know that both hands are an absolute must, right? You can't really do much work with just one hand. A hammer, you have to hold the nail, right? Or if you're going to use any tools for that matter, a screwdriver, you may have to hold something in place. So the left hand is the supporting hand. When you're using tools, this hand is your support. So you can remember this kanji apart from the right hand kanji by using this story, right? Right hand, mouth, left hand, support. Hidari. Of course, you have onyomi also. For example, if you combine the onyomi of right and left, you get sayu. It's not that common at this level. You can come back and learn this when you're in N4 or N3 level. You won't be hearing it just yet. Hi. So that's Migi and Hidari. Two more directions that we're going to see are, so right and left, front and back. So what we're going to learn now is the word for front. Kunyomi wa nan desu ka? Very good. My. For example, yes. Namae. Namae. It's your name that's in front. So I think it was like, usually namae in Japan, when you meet somebody for the first time, which name will they tell you? Their family name or their personal name? Family name, right? And the family name is the name that's in front. When they announce themselves, when they introduce themselves, giving your family first is the practice. So I think that's why Mae is there in Namae. It's the name that I put in front. the name writing order. Normally in India, personal name and then family name. We also use initials. But in Japan, it's always family name first. Right? So Shimizu something. That Shimizu is actually family name. Okay? Or Suzuki something. Tanaka something. We never get to find out the other name because their family name always comes first. So namae, the name that comes first. So mae is a direction kanji. It has to do with a position of something, right? The direction of something. It also has a onyomi. Nan desu ka? Hai. Zen. Zen. You'll see zen in compound words, typically combined with other onyomi. We'll learn a few as we proceed to new lessons when we learn those kanji. For now, you can remember namae. It's actually a rare kunyomi plus kunyomi combination. And just like you have tsukue no ue, tsukue no shita, you can also talk about object no mae, in front of something, before something. So it has both the meaning of time and position. Position is tsukue no mae, in front of the desk, right? Terebi no mae, in front of the television. Time would be like gakko no mae, before school. Before school, I eat breakfast, right? Or before school, I went to kindergarten. So it's also time. Now, I know the kanji looks complicated, but I want you to break it into 3 parts. You know this part. What does it look like? So desu ne. Tsuki. It's like a slightly variant form of the tsuki. How about this part? Kanji desu ka? Hai. Katakana desu ne. Katakana ri. So you're bringing together these disparate parts. This is supposed to be the front portion of something. So the ri katakana, it represents a blade. You'll see it in many kanji. So you're taking the blade, and the moon here represents a body of something, like some physical shape, body. So you're taking something and you're cutting off the front portion of it. That's where the kanji's meaning comes from. You have to practice a little. So top down, left to right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this last part, 2. Top, left, right. Daijoubu desu ka? Please write it and practice a couple of times. Now, you know, mae is in front. Next is behind. Yes, behind. Now, in Japanese, the word mae means in front, spatially also, and it means in front in terms of time also, ahead, before. But the word for behind, the kanji is the same, but we use 2 different words to talk about behind time and behind position. So you have later and after, which are the time terms. Nan desu ka? Ato. Ato. Ato is later or after. I'll do it later. I'll do my homework later. I'll come to your house later today. That is ato, time related. Position or space related is? Hi, very good. Ushi is the reading of the kanji. It's a kunyomi. You have to add ro to make it a complete word. So fully you would read it as ushiro. Ushiro. Something no ushiro. Behind something. Sensei no ushiro. Behind sensei. Right? Behind sensei. There's this thing that she's going to definitely run into. So something no ushiro. Behind something or somebody. Something no ato is later. After something. Kurasu no ato. After class. I'll have my lunch after class, for example. You also have nochi, which is another kunyomi, which means the same thing. it's a little bit more, it's an older word, it's a little more formal sometimes. You don't have to remember it now. Ato and ushiro are the most important. Kunyomi. As you can guess, if you see ro after this kanji, you have to read it as ushiro. If you don't see anything hiragana after this kanji, it will be ato. And the onyomi that I want you to remember is go. Go. So if you remember, mae kanji, onyomi wa zen. Ushiro kanji no onyomi wa go. If you combine them, you get zengo. Zengo. Front and back. Sometimes you can also combine them with other kanji. Something zen will come. Something go will come. We'll see it soon. Also a complicated looking kanji that can neatly be divided into 3 parts. First, you start with the left side part. What does it look like? We learned another kanji like this. Kore desu. Yes? Person, right? It's the person radical. Hito. Or person radical. Now this, that one extra stroke on top, actually that's the very first stroke. When you add that to the hito radical, it becomes a new radical, the whole thing. And that is considered the step or intersection radical. That is to say, somebody walking. This is this person taking a step and they're walking somewhere. They're moving towards some location. It has that meaning. I'm telling you this now because it comes again in another kanji. Now come to this right-hand side. Over here, you have the thread radical. It takes a little getting used to. So 1, 2, 3. Right? 1, 2, 3. That's how you write it. Once you get used to the strokes, you'll be writing it very easily. 1, 2, 3. Yes? It's part of a thread. It's you can think of it like you're tying the threads together. This is one thread, this is another thread, and this is that knot that you're adding at the end. And lastly, over here, this is supposed to be human legs that are crossing. Now we saw human legs as a slightly different radical. This is they're crossing, they're moving. This person is walking. Actually, the way you write it is like katakana ku. But instead of that small stroke for ka, you do a long stroke. So 1, 2, 3. So what does all this come together to mean? It's a person who's walking in front, a person walking behind them, and they're holding a thread. You can come up with any story for this you like. In some countries, when children go out, right, like in school, they go out like 30 of them at the same time. You have to keep them safe, right? You keep on the road, they can't get run over by cars. You have to be careful. So they would often make children hold hands or give them something like a thread or something to hold so we don't lose track of the kids. I like to think of this kanji as that. You have to walk behind each other in a single file line and hold this thread so you don't get lost. I'm sorry about the convoluted story, but it's probably the toughest kanji we've seen so far. So you need to remember it. 大丈夫ですか?
大丈夫です。
よかったです. I'm glad. Hi. This is a kanji you don't have to learn. It's just a recap. 何ですか? He or moku. He or moku. We'll see why we're seeing it again. We'll see very soon. And this is last kanji. Kunyomi wa
車。
kuruma. Kuruma wa 何ですか? Car, right? It means car, a vehicle, basically. Originally, the original meaning for this word kuruma used to be wheel. So, of course, before cars were invented, first the wheel was invented, And then people were like, let's use 2 wheels and 3 wheels, and they created carts. Right? So this actually this kanji is very, very old historically, and it's still used today. With every historical phase or stage in Japan, it has evolved to mean a new type of vehicle. So if you go back to like 9th century Japan, kuruma would have meant something else, a different type of vehicle. Today it means car. What is the onyomi? Sha. Ne, sha. So sha is a suffix. Just like shitsu is a suffix for types of rooms, sha is a suffix for types of vehicles. Properly, the word for automobile is can you read it? Jidosha. Jidosha. Jidosha is a 3 kanji compound word. The last kanji is the sha kanji. Do is a different kanji. It means to move. And ji means self. So basically, it's a vehicle that moves by itself. Of course, we have to push the accelerator, and it needs fuel. But basically, it moves on its own. We don't have to pedal. We don't have to push. So jidosha is the proper term for car or automobile, the modern day vehicle. Kuruma, it's just like a simple word, right? Think of it like vandi, right, in Tamil. Been using it time immemorial for all types of vehicles. So we use it even for trains and stuff, right? It's like that. So jidosha. There's also a very familiar word in India that comes from Japanese. A type of vehicle. Can anyone guess? Yes. Rickshaw, right? Auto rickshaw or just rickshaw. It's a word that came from Japan and went to Europe first because they used to have this thing called jin rikisha. Jin rikisha. Hi. Jin rikisha. What is jin? Person, right? Riki means power. And sha means vehicle. That is, it's a vehicle drawn by human power. So the oldest type of rickshaw was, of course, the type where people picked it up and pulled it themselves. So from jin rikisha, it shortened to rickshaw and came back to us. They are still common in some cities in Japan. It's like a tourist thing. Hi. This kanji looks elaborate, but it's not. Basically, it's the sun kanji with a stroke on top and a stroke on bottom, and one stroke cutting through everything. The cutting stroke is the last stroke. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 大丈夫ですか?
大丈夫です。
So the word sha, as you learn more Japanese, you will learn many words using sha. The word for train, for example, is densha. Densha. Den is electricity. So trains are among the first vehicles that were fully electric very early on. Electric cars and bikes are big now, but electric trains have existed for a long time, right? So densha in Japan refers to train. And you also have the word for bicycle. Jitensha. Jitensha. The ten in jitensha means round, circle, or cycle. So jitensha is a vehicle that turns on itself. Hi. That's all for kanji in lesson 7. So a quick recap of vocabulary. I want the words for these directions, right? First, up is
Ue.
ue, down, shita,
Ah.
right, migi, left, hidari, Front, in front.
Mae.
My, my, behind.
Hatto.
Matto.
Sumimasen, I'm hearing some background sound. Hi. Ushiro. Ato is time. Ushiro is position. So please remember, behind in terms of position is always ushiro. Hai. Kanji wa daijoubu desu ka? Hai. Ue, shita, migi, hidari, mae, ushiro. Hai, otsukaresama desu. Hi. In lesson 7, we're going to do a little recap of Koso Ado. It's been some time, so let's review that. And we're also going to learn some new adjectives, right? We're going to expand on using adjectives. So a quick review. Objects. What do we use for objects?
Kore, sore, are, dore.
Kore, sore, are, dore. What does dore mean? Dore?
Which object is it?
Which object? Watashi no enpitsu wa dore desu ka? Yes? Yes, please go ahead. Watashi no enpitsu wa dore desu ka? Which is my pencil? Place? Koko?
Doko, asoko, doko.
What does doko mean? Where?
Where?
トイレはどこですか？あそこですよ。It's over there. How about this set? What do we use it for? People and
Person. Directions. Person and directions.
people and directions, right? こちら、そちら、あちら。
Achira,
どちらは何ですか？
do,
Where or
which person?
はい。Which, this can be people or objects. どちら is a bit of an exception. You can use it for people, places, objects. It's very convenient. But どちら is which person specifically, right? If you want to ask who, どなた or 誰. Very good. あの人は誰ですか？あの方はどなたですか？ You don't know them at all. But どちら is, you know them, you just don't know which woman she is, which man he is. And lastly, this set, この、その、あの、どの。
Ano, dono.
Dono also means which. You can use it for anything,
Which?
right? Dore is only for objects. Dochira is anything. Dono is also anything. But after this set, you have to add something. What is that? Yes. It is incomplete if there is no noun after that. Whereas for all of these, you don't need anything. It's complete on its own. So, of course, we saw various situations of introducing yourself, introducing other people. We learned that there are levels of politeness, right? Which is the most polite way of talking about a person? Yes. Kochira, sochira, achira, or kata, right?
Kono kata.
Kono kata, sono kata, ano kata. So we have those options. We also saw that when we're using interrogative words, the particle that we have to use is ga particle. So we're going to dive into this a little bit more about this ga particle. But before that, a quick recap. Raja-san wants to ask Kumar-san, who, which person is, sorry, one second. Devi-san. How would he ask?
Devi-san wa do
Dono hito desu.
Ito?
dono hito desu ka?
So, Mr. Kumar, which person is Miss Devi? Miss Devi, which person is she? Devi-san wa dono hito desu ka? How else can we ask? Instead of dono hito, we can say dochira. Devi-san wa dochira desu ka? I don't know. She's one of these people, but which one? Now, this is using wa particle. If I want to use ga particle, How can I change this question? Now we saw a basic thing. A, wa, B, desu. In this case, which is more important, A or B? When you use wa particle, B is more important. A, ga, B, desu. A is more important when you use ga particle. How do we change this structure then?
Dono hit
Dono hito ga
ga the baby son desu.
desu ka? You can do the same thing with question. Same meaning. A wa B desu ka? A ga B desu ka? Dono hito ga debi-san desu ka? Which person exactly is Miss Baby? That's the thing I want answered, right? If you change the structure, dono hito ga debi-san desu ka? Which one is Miss Baby? I don't know. So if you're using wa, the question part should come after wa. Ne? Wa plus question. If you're using ga, it will come before ga, which is the same rule we saw here. Nani ga arimasu ka? Ne? Question word plus ga. It should come before ga. Dono hito ga debi-san desu ka? So this is the question. How do we answer this question? Dono hito ga debi-san desu ka? She's over there, that person over there.
Achira wa baby son desu.
Achira wa debi-san desu. Here we're using wa particle. Achira wa debi-san desu. Now in this case, this becomes the answer. But what are we asking? What do we want to know? We know about debi-san. We want to know which one is debi-san.
Baby son wa achira desu.
So we either have to say debi-san wa achira desu or achira
Achira ga
ga debi-san desu. So to this question, dono hito ga debi-san desu ka? The answer would be
Chiraga.
dono hito. We have to give the answer, right? Achira. Dono hito is the question. Which person? We have to answer that. So either we can say ano hito or achira ga debi-san desu or debi-san wa ano hito or achira desu. In the case that you're putting the answer in front, use ga. If you're putting the answer afterwards, use wa. They both mean the exact same thing. The sentence order has to be different depending on which particle we use. We'll practice this a little more. Ne? Mata, dono hito ga debi-san desu ka? Now, Kumar is answering. This person is Devi. She's next to the listener. How do we answer? Hi.
baby son wa
Hi.
achira
If we use ga,
baby son wa sochira desu.
if we use wa, that is correct, right? Debi-san wa sochira desu.
Achira desu.
If we use ga, sono hito ga.
Dono hito ga baby son desu.
Hi. One last case. Kumar is answering. He is the speaker. Raja is the listener. Question one. Dono hito ga debi-san desu ka? What's the answer? Kochira ga
Dono hito ga
Kochira ga baby son desu.
Hi. Kono hito ga debi-san desu or
baby son wa kono hito desu.
exactly. Kono hito ga debi-san desu or debi-san wa kono hito desu. Where the answer appears depends on which particle you're using. Even in the question, you can do the same thing. What question do you want answered? That's the important part of your question, right? The answer you're seeking is the stressed part. So before ga, you'll put your question portion. This is the blank I want filled. Please fill this up. This is the blank I want filled. It'll come after wa or before ga. Hi. We can do the same thing for locations. Example, you have A-san and B-san, and they're talking about where? Doko desu ka? Dono basho desu ka? Ote arai. Ote arai wa nan desu ka? Restroom, right? Toire desu. So toire is one word. Ote arai is a more polite way of referring to it. What does ote arai mean? Actually, direct meaning? It is restroom, but word for word meaning is O is for respect. Te means hand. Arai means wash. So ote arai is like a euphemistic, like, you know how we don't say this person died, we say this person passed away. It's a softer way of saying it, right? So instead of saying toilet or restroom, a softer way of saying it is hand wash. It's more than a hand wash. You can also use the restroom, but it's a soft way of saying. So ote arai or toire, they both mean the same thing. A person, if they're working as like the receptionist of a hotel, they won't say toire because it sounds rough. They would prefer ote arai. You don't have to do it, but if you're in the service industry, such a person would do it. Hi. You want to ask, where is the restroom? Toire wa doko desu ka? Toire wa dochira desu ka? How can B-san reply? Toire wa
Toire wa
soko desu.
asoko desu.
Koko desu. Any place is fine. Toire wa soko desu. Asoko desu. If you were to use ga,
So,
Hi. Yes. Koko ga
Toire.
this place exactly is the restroom. This is the answer. Koko ga toire desu yo. This is the place. This is the restroom. Of course, you can use soko, sochira, asoko, achira. Depends on where the restroom is. Right? Hi. Koko ga toire desu. This place exactly. Now let's practice using this for some other locations, right? We'll just increase our vocabulary little by little. You know some of these. Restaurant, kombini desu ka? Yubin kyoku. Yubin kyoku wa nan desu ka?
Koku.
Post office, great. How about the railway station?
Eki.
Eki, fantastic. A cafe, you can
Kopi.
kohi is coffee. Cafe, you can either say kahe or you can say hi. Yes. Hisaten. Hisaten. It's actually originally for tea shop, but today it also means a cafe. Of course, way in the past, Japan didn't get coffee for a very long time. So mostly tea in there. So the native Japanese word is actually tea shop, but today it also means cafe. Kissaten. What about bank? Very good. Great. Ginko. Ginko. Ja, chotto renshu. A little practice. Hi. You want to ask, where is... Hi.
教室はどこですか？
出どこ。
教室は
教室はどこですか？
はい。どこですか or どちらですか Very good. Now B, who's answering, wants to indicate a place near himself. And how would he answer?
Yoshitsu wa koko desu.
Ga
Near B. Be a speaker. そちらですか?
ここ、
教
ここ、
室は
ここです。
教室は
ここです。
ここですか?
ここ or こちら。
こちら。
教室はここです。
ここです。
はこちらです。If you want to use が、
こちらが教室です。
ここが教室です。こちらが教室です。Fantastic. Now a slightly different location. You want to ask, where is it?
駅はどこですか?
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 駅は
どこです
どこです
どこです。
Where is the railway station? Now, B is replying, but it's far away from both A and B. 駅は
駅は
あそこ
あちらです。あちらです。
あちら、あそこ。
あ
either
ち
one,
らです。あそこ、あちらです。
one or the other is fine. You don't have to use both. 駅はあちらです。あそこです。If you use が、
あそこ
あそ
が
こが
駅です。
駅です。
excellent. あそこが駅です。ね、あちらが駅です。はい。How do we ask?
郵便局は
郵便
局は
郵便局はどちら
どちらですか?
どこですか?
If someone asking in wa sentence, but we are answering it in ga, so will it be okay?
It's fine. As long as the sentence structure is correct. If they ask in wa and you reply in ga, it's not a problem. But naturally, we will usually use the same thing. There's nothing wrong, but it's typical. If they ask in wa, we reply in wa. If they ask in ga, we use ga and reply also. 郵便局はどこですか? Now, B is answering, but it's near A. How would B say it? 郵便局は
郵便局は
どこです。
そこですかです。
そちらです。or そこです。が particle?
そちらが郵便局
で。
ですす。
そちらが、そこが郵便局です。はい。ね。Getting a little bit more complex now. All of these places are on this particular road. ね。郵便局はどこですか? I want you to describe with reference to another location. For example, in front of the cafe or to the left of the bank. Yeah, let's try in front first. How do you say in front of the cafe?
郵便局は
はい。
手に前です。
ね
喫茶
手
店、
の前です。
ねの
喫茶店の in front of
前です。
ね前
喫茶店の前です。ね、郵便局は喫茶店の前です。How about to the left of the bank?
郵便局は
銀行の左です。
銀行の、はい、左ですね。銀行の左です。ね、instead of です。If you want to use あります、how can you change the sentence? Its place or position, what particle do we use? に particle, right? So, 郵便局は喫茶店の前にあります。So, either we can say 前です and finish the sentence, or 前にあります。They both mean the same thing. This is you're explicitly saying it exists over there. This is the state of the thing. Mostly existence and state tend to mean the same thing in most languages. But it's two ways of saying the same thing. It's like it is in front of the bank, it is in front of the cafe versus it's there in front of the cafe. Different words, same meaning. How about ginko? If we were to use ginko. 郵便局は
銀行の の左にあります。
銀行の左
にあります。
あります。はい。銀行の左にあります。In all cases, we're talking about the Yubin Kyoku for now. These are just reference points by which we're identifying where is the bank. Where is the post office. 郵便局は銀行の左にあります。はい。ね。もちろん、喫茶店の前です。You can always change using the particle if you want. So if I were to ask, 郵便局はどこですか? If I use ga particle to give the same answer that B has given, how do I change it? Ga particle. 喫茶店の前が郵便局です。See, these are the units. A, ra, B, this. You're just going to refer B, ga, A, this. You're going to reverse it. So, 喫茶店の前が郵便局です。はい。大丈夫ですか？はい。
喫茶店の前に郵便局ありませんでしたか？
あります。Yeah, that's fine. 喫茶店の前に郵便局があります。大丈夫です。はい。So I've just put in, that's this, different variants. I put them all in one slide. I'll just go up to that. Hi. So you can refer to this later. I can share it in Google Classroom. It's just all the different ways that you can say the same thing, basically. Instead of hidari, I've used a different word here. Nan desu ka?
Next to beside.
Hai. Tonari. Next to, beside, adjacent to. Sometimes we don't know from which direction somebody's walking. It's risky to say hidari or migi when you don't know, right? So you can use tonari. It's next to the bank. Either the left or the right, but it's next to it. Ginko no tonari ni arimasu. Or ginko no tonari desu. 大丈夫ですか？はい。オンラインの皆さん、大丈夫ですか？ Any questions? はい。お疲れ様でした。So that's all for the Koso Ado review. I hope with this you feel a little more confident. We'll just come back to a little bit of adjectives. We're adding some more to our vocabulary now. So if you have created a list, I keiyoshi separately, na keiyoshi separately, we're going to add some adjectives to that. I mentioned this word earlier. これは何ですか？
自転車。
自転車。ね。自転車。ね。G is self. By the way, we will learn the kanji for self. G. We'll be learning it by lesson 13 or 14. 14, I think. Tem is cycle and sha is vehicle. Ne? Jitensha. So, what do you think is the difference between these two vehicles? These two cycles? Yeah. One is very new looking. The other is old looking. Hi. New wa. Hi. New wa. Atarashi. Atarashi. And old wa. Furui. Furui. So a new bicycle. Atarashi jitensha. Atarashi jitensha. Or old bicycle. Furui jitensha. My bicycle. Watashi no jitensha wa atarashi desu. Tomodachi no jitensha wa furui desu. So you can use it both ways. これは新しい自転車です。You're putting the adjective next to the noun, or この自転車は新しいです。You're ending the sentence with the adjective. This is an old bicycle. How can we say it? はい、これは古い自転車です。or this 自転車は古いです。この自転車は古いです。新しい new 古い old ね。この教科書はどれですか？古いですね。古い。皆さんの教科書は新しいです。はい。私のは古いです。はい。で、what's the difference between these two rooms? Empty? This person in here. He's feeling very cramped, right? Exactly. This is kind of spacious. There's a lot of room. You can tell. There's so much furniture, but still, there's a lot of room to move around. この部屋ね。部屋 is room. This is for a spacious room. 広い。広い is spacious. Spacious. You can use it for not just rooms, but any space in general, like a road, for example. Do you remember the word for road? 道 road. So 広い道 is a wide road, a spacious road. Narrow or cramped. 狭い。ね、狭い部屋。狭い道。narrow road。ね、この部屋は広いです。ね、隣の部屋は狭いです。ね、this room is spacious. The room next door. 隣の部屋。ね、隣の部屋は狭いです。この道は狭いです。ね、the road right outside here, it's very narrow. とても狭いです。ね、とても。Yes. It's an adverb, which means you can club it together with adjectives. It tells you the degree of that quality, the extent to which this quality is true. It's very narrow. ね、とても広い。Very spacious. You can use it for any adjective. Very big. How can you say very big? とても大きい。ね、はい。If you get a really short haircut, how can you say it? とても短いです。ね、とても短いです。はい。で、you want to talk about this hair. First, you want to say, this room is spacious. We can say, this room. この部屋は広いです。ね、この部屋は広いです。ね、And if you want to change the sentence, you don't use この部屋. You want to say, this place is a spacious room. This is a spacious room. Very good. 部屋 is a place. You won't say これは広い部屋. We have to say ここは広い部屋です。or この部屋は広いです。For narrow? この部屋は狭いです。or ここは狭い部屋です。ね、ここは狭い部屋です。この部屋は狭いです。So 広い、狭い。ね、wide, spacious versus narrow. I already mentioned this. はい。カメラですね。カメラ。This is a very expensive one. This is obviously cheaper one. Do you remember the word for expensive? I've mentioned it once.
高い。
はい。Very good. The word 高い, which we learned for what? What does 高い mean? High, right? Tall.
Very high.
So it has the meaning of tall, but really it means high. So it can mean both high physically or high in terms of expense. 高い, the cheap word for cheap is 安い. 安い. 高い Yasui. So an expensive camera wa nan desu ka? Hai, takai desu ka? Yasui desu ka? Expensive is? Takai. Takai camera. This camera is expensive. Kono camera wa takai desu. Or kore wa takai camera desu. For cheap, kono camera wa yasui desu. Fantastic. This is a cheap camera. This is a cheap camera. You want to change the sentence structure. Hi.
Why can't we use Ikoi, same like Takai? Ikoi is so.
Actually, just for Takai, that overlap exists. But Hikui is always only in terms of physical height. So we don't use it for cheap. It's just not done. Hi. So, yasui camera. Kono camera wa yasui desu. Kore wa yasui camera desu. Hi. Now, as usual, there's going to be a couple of exceptions. They're not very big exceptions, but they're interesting. Now, we've learned a lot of opposites, very specific words. What we're going to learn now are very generic words. Good versus bad. Super general, right? What is the word for good? E. There's another word also. What is it? Yoi. Actually, E and yoi are the same thing. Yoi is an older Japanese word. So E is a fairly new invention. In modern Japanese, it was added. Yoi is an older form. So we haven't learned a lot of things yet with adjectives. For example, right now we're describing everything in positive terms, right? We're saying it is expensive, it is cheap, it is new, it is old. We're not yet saying it's not expensive. We're not yet saying it was expensive yesterday. So tense, right? When was this adjective true? Or negative. These are two things we haven't learned yet. But when we learn them, you're going to see this with this yoi. More frequently, the yoi form of this word is used than E form. E form is only used in affirmative, non-past form, that is present tense. So in this case, we're going to use E, but later on, we'll be using yoi for other situations. Hi.
So like, but we are using Deva Arimasan to indicate that it is not.
Yes. That is not in a state. So Deva Arimasen is the negative form of Desu. So Desu becomes Deva Arimasen. Atarashi Desu, we're saying, we won't say Atarashi Deva Arimasen. This is actually only for noun form. Watashi wa sensei desu, watashi wa sensei de wa arimasen. So as long as it's a noun here, I can use this negative form. I cannot use it for adjective. Yes. It's a good question. So we won't be using this for adjectives. It's a little bit more complicated. So coming back to this, we're saying good or bad, right? Now the word good or bad is so flexible in English. We can use it for everything, right? This ice cream tastes bad, right? Or this dish is good. We use it very generically. He's a good kid, right? Or, hey, your score is really good. We use it very generically across a lot of things. You can use it generically in Japanese also to describe anything as good or bad, but you have to point out what is good or bad. For example, Dozo, please read this. Testo wa? Testo wa? Ii desu. We don't say that. Test is good. Hey, this is a good test. What do I mean by that? Right? What is that? I have no idea what that means. You have to be specific. Like, what about this test was good? For example, this kid did well on his test. He got a 100%. So his score is good. So when I say this test is good, I don't mean the questions are good, the answers are good. I mean, my score was good. Hi, Dozo, please read it. Testo wa score. Score ga ii desu. So what was good about the test? The score was good. 今日のテスト today's test. As for today's test, my score, 私のスコアがいいです。My score is good. Where else have we seen this ga? Wa and ga in the same sentence. We just saw it last week for something.
For
Yes?
from
Far, that's kara. Hi. Na keyoshi, do you remember the na keyoshi we learned last week? Yes, skilled, talented. Hi. Jozu. Hi, exactly. When we talk about a particular skill that someone is good at, Raja-san wa jozu desu. We don't say that. Raja-san is skilled. Skilled at what? Raja-san wa nihongo ga jozu desu. So anytime you want to give a particular target for something, you will be marking that target with ga. But that particular thing is, it's still not clear. If I just said, score ga ii desu, what score? Yodoro score. Testo wa score ga ii desu. So you need to use both wa and ga in such a scenario. This is the larger topic. And this is the specific thing that the adjective applies to. You can memorize this pattern. A wa B ga adjective this. You'll use it for both E and the opposite. Hi.
it's like Radha-san ga Nihongo no juice ga
Nihongo ga jozu desu.
Nihongo ga juice desu.
Hi.
But for juice, there's a adjective like na, right? Now we will be using that na.
Hi. I'll just come to that one second. Nihongo ga jozu desu. So this is the structure. Raja-san wa skill ga jozu desu. If you want to use the na part, jozu has to go next to a noun. Raja-san wa nihongo ga jozu na gakusei desu. Jozu na otoko no hito desu. He's a skilled man. He's a skilled student. If we want to add something next to jozu, that's when we use the na particle. So that this rule, wa and ga being used, it has less to do with, it doesn't have to do with the na adjective part. It has to do with the skill part.
But you can also say Nihongo no gakusei ga juice desu, right?
But that's very generic. We don't know it's Raja-san.
Raja-san ga Nihongo no gakusei no juice ga desu.
That won't make sense. Mainly because Raja-san wa Nihongo no gakusei ga jozu. It makes gakusei the target of jozu. So this skill should be the skill itself. If we say Nihongo no gakusei here, Nihongo is information about gakusei. Gakusei becomes main. You cannot say he's skilled at being a student. It's a bit weird, right? So you should mention the skill itself directly. で、今日のテストはスコアがいいです。もちろん、instead of wa, you can use no if you really want to. 今日のテストのスコア。The score of today's test is good. So as for the test, my score was good. Or the test's score is good. Both are okay. Wa or no particle in such a scenario, they don't change the meaning much. 今日のテストは you can also use e next to a noun as usual. Dozo, you can read this. E score.
No.
Hi. E score.
E.
Hi. E score. Today was a good score. That's also fine. You can use E directly to attach something. So what is good about something? This is very important when you talk about E. The same applies to the opposite of E. Some of you may know it. The word Bad. Hi. Varui. Varui. So again, if I want to say today's test, my score was bad. How can I say it? Kyo no testo wa score ga varui desu. Okay. As for today's test, my score was bad. Okay. Kyo no testo no score wa varui desu. Or today's test was a good score or bad score. If you want to put bad next to score, we can say varui score desu. Ne? Kyo no testo wa varui score desu. As for today's test, I got a bad score. You can also use this to talk about people, for example. When you say this person is good, what do you mean by good? Usually you mean they have a good personality. Okay? So, seikaku. Seikaku means personality. So, if I want to say, Miss Tanaka has a good personality. Miss Tanaka's personality is good. How can I say it? Tanaka-san no seikaku wa good. Ii desu. Ne? Seikaku ga ii desu. Conversely, if you want to say they have a bad personality, seikaku ga warui desu. No, you wouldn't directly say Tanaka-san wa warui desu. He's bad. We don't say. Personality is bad. Right? Tanaka-san no seikaku ga warui desu. So just make a note. E and warui, we cannot use it flippantly. We have to use with something specific. What is good? What is bad? Just keep that in mind. Daijoubu desu ka? Hai. We learned. Hi, dozo.
But if you are mentioning that the test is easy, we don't need to mention what about the test is easy.
No. In case of Yasashi, we don't have to do that. It's implied that it was not challenged. That is, the difficulty level of the test was low. So that's already specific. So Yasashi and Muzukashi, we don't have to be specific. Good or bad, we have to be specific. Ii desu ka? Hai. We learned these two adjectives, right? Near and far. Just a quick recap. How can we make this sentence? The railway station is near my house. Kono eki wa watashi no ie? Yes. Watashi no ie kara chikai desu. It's near from my house. It's close from my house. We don't say chikai eki. We never say that. Watashi no ie kara chikai desu. One more way we can do it is with ga arimasu. Now, we've added that. How can you use ga arimasu? Dozo. Ie no
Ie no watashi.
ie no chikaku ni eki ga arimasu. In the nearby location to my house, there is a railway station. So chikaku is a special form of the word chikai. You're dropping the e and you're making it ku, right? That makes it, you can use it as though it's a noun. Chikaku, it becomes a location. Place ni something ga arimasu. It's the same structure. So chikaku then becomes a place. But chikaku from where? Ie no chikaku. The nearby from my house. The nearabouts from my house. There's no direct way to say this in English, but it's very convenient in Japanese. You can do the same thing. Chikai becomes chikaku, a noun form. You can do the same thing with hoi. The railway station is far from my house. How did we say it before? Kono eki wa watashi no ie kara 遠いです。私の家から遠いです。Conversely, we can say, from my house, that is, my house is far away. That is the space, that is the location. There is a railway station there. 私の家の遠くに駅があります。In some faraway place from my house, there is a railway station. 私の家の遠くに駅があります。Actually, this usage of 遠く is a bit rare compared to 近く. Simply because you're more likely to tell someone about a place close to your house than a place far from your house. Right? You're more likely to say, hey, near my house, there's a railway station. You can go home that way. Oh, there's a bus stop near my place. You can take the bus. That's more natural than there's a railway station far from my place. Please take that. We won't say it, right? So you may not hear this so often, but it does exist. 遠い、遠く、近い、近く. They have this noun form. You can treat it as a location and put it in this structure. Location にあります。Location にいます。また、oh, thank you. I don't know why I keep missing that. I think I'm tapping this by accident. はい、ありがとうございます。はい。大丈夫ですか？ Now we're coming to the last two E adjectives for today. That is large in numbers versus small in numbers, right? Many versus few. Many は何ですか？多い。ね、多い。So 多い。The trees in Kerala, that is in Kerala, trees are many in number. How can we say it? Keralaの木ですか？We have to use key ね。Keralaの木は
多いです。
多いです。We can say it this way. Kerala は木が多いです。What about Kerala? The trees are large in number, or Kerala の木が多いです。That's also fine. Kerala の木は多いです。Both are okay. Again, just like Toi and Chikai, you never describe the tree itself as Oi. You don't say Oi ki ga arimasu. Many trees are there. We say it in English, you cannot say it in Japanese because a single tree on its own is not many. The tree has the property of just being a tree. It's not naturally many in number or small in number. If there are a lot of trees beside it, then it becomes many. But Oi, when you use it to describe something, the thing itself must be many. So it's almost never used this way. You have to use it only in this structure. Something wa oi desu. For example, Tokyo. Tokyo wa doko desu ka? What is Tokyo? Capital of Japan, right? It's a very, very populous city. So in Tokyo, there are many people. How can I say it? Tokyo wa can we say? No. This name? Hito ga oi desu. Tokyo wa hito ga oi desu. In Tokyo, there are lots of people. There are many people. The people are many in number. There is a height.
How can we change this sentence structure with E part?
We can say Tokyo ni oku no ki ga arimasu. That's what I'm about to come to. Tsugino, the next example is that. Now, if you want to use ni particle and arimasu, in Kerala, many trees are there. If you want to say that. Oi also has this ku form. If you drop the E, you add ku, it becomes a noun. Dozo, you can read it. Kerala ni Kerala ni oku no ki ga arimasu. So grammatically, this becomes a noun. You're using noun structure. So it's hard to describe this in English terms again because the word many is not a noun in English. but it can become a noun in Japanese. So, kerera ni oku no ki ga arimasu. So, we want to use in place. Many, something is there. How about the Tokyo example? Tokyo ni oku no hito ga imasu. Ne, imasu. Tokyo ni oku no hito ga imasu. Oi, oku. Thankfully, the very last adjective we're going to see is very special. It can be used only one way. Let's try this. In Japan, the trees are small in number. Nihon.
Nihon wa
Nihon wa?
ki ga sukunai desu.
Yes, the word is
Sukunai desu.
sukunai. Nihon wa ki ga sukunai desu. Speaking of Japan, trees are few in number, small in number. Sukunai desu. Or Nihon no ki wa sukunai desu. That's also fine. You don't have any other form that you can use. There is no sukunaku no ki. There is no sukunai ki. Doesn't exist. If you want to use sukunai, A or B, that's it. Sukunai is very special. Actually, it's created already using another form of a word. That's why we don't see other forms. So you can just memorize either this or this. Keep it simple. Sukunai, few in number. So in Tokyo, well, I wouldn't say Tokyo, we'll pick another city. Can't say Osaka either. Maybe Kyoto. In Kyoto, there are few people. This. We're not using imasu, right? Imasu, arimasu? No. This. Tokyo wa hito ga sukunai desu. Tokyo no hito wa, Kyoto no hito wa sukunai desu. There's more foreigners than Japanese people. Hai. Last few adjectives for the day, familiar face for some of you. We're going to learn just a couple of na adjectives. We already saw this one when we learned kanji. Hai, nan desu ka? Famous.
Yume.
Hai, yumei desu. Yumei desu. De, kono hito wa dare desu ka? Rajinikanto. Rajinikanto-san wa Nihon ni wa yumei desu. He's famous in Japan. Yeah. Muthu was a big hit there. They have their own title for that movie. It's called Odoru Maharaja, which means the dancing Maharaja. You can laugh. It's okay. Anyway, I don't know why, but it's a hit. And since then, all the songs of Muthu also became a hit in Japan. If you go to YouTube and you search, there's a Japanese orchestra that plays, I think, Oruan Oruan Mudalali. That song, they do an orchestral version. I don't think they sing it. They just play the music part. It's that famous. It's a high school orchestra. Anyway, so coming back. So if you want to say, Mr. Rajinikanth is famous, how can we say it?
Rajinikanth-san wa yumei desu.
Hi. Rajinikanto-san wa yumei desu. Or if you want to say, Rajinikanth is a famous person. Now, when you say Rajinikanth, not everyone will know he's a person. So, Rajinikanto-san wa yumei na hito desu. You can be more specific. It need not be hito. It can be like actor, actress, dancer, singer, so on and so forth. The word for actor is haiyu. Rajinikanto-san wa yumei na haiyu desu. He's a very famous actor. So you can modify it to whatever you want. Like, oh, this is a very famous movie. Yumei na eiga desu. Eiga is movie. Slumdog Millionaire. Wa yumei na eiga desu. You can add anything you want. Yumei na something desu. So if you want to add that thing, you should add na over here because it's a na adjective. The other na adjective for today, last one. 何ですか? Benri. Benri. Benri desu. It means convenient. So if I want to say, これは何ですか? Card. Debit card. Debit card. You want to say debit cards are convenient. Benri. Yes. Debit card wa benri desu. Debit cards are convenient. But if I want to say it's a convenient card, you want to add card, the noun card after benri. How can we do it? Benri na card. So debit card wa benri na card desu. Debit cards are convenient cards, right? They're easy to use. They're convenient. Credit card wa benri na card desu. You can change it to anything. Or simply, if everybody knows what object you're talking about, benri desu. You don't have to expand on that. It's what kind of thing is it? You don't have to be specific. But if you want to add it, if you want to add a noun after a na adjective, you have to use na. Benri na something. Hi. Nihon, in Japan, Nihon ni wa benri na mono. Mono means thing. Mono, it's a general word, the object thing. Benri na mono wa arimasu. Lots of them. Oi desu. Nihon ni wa benri na mono wa oi desu. There are many convenient things in Japan. Now, I'll come to this, we'll talk about this maybe a little more in detail tomorrow, but touching upon how to use adjectives a little bit. Now, so far, all of our sentences are ending with desu, masu. We're using only polite forms. But in the very beginning, I told you, Japanese has plain form and polite form, right? Casual. Sometimes people call plain as casual form. That is to say, you're using it to talk to people casually, like your close friends, people younger than you, things like that. So, この鉛筆は何ですか? 長いですね. It's a long pencil. Hi. This is the polite form. If I want to say it in plain language, what do I do? この鉛筆は長い. That's it. When you finish a sentence with an E adjective, if you want to speak in plain form, just drop the desu. Please don't follow this rule everywhere. Watashi wa sensei desu. If I drop the desu, watashi wa sensei, it's incomplete. This rule is only for E adjective. Drop the desu for plain form. That rule is only for E adjectives. Conversely, for non-adjective, debit card wa benri desu. Hi.
I have a question.
Dozo.
What happens if we drop desu?
If you drop desu for anything else, like a noun, the sentence is incomplete. So it will be grammatically incorrect, wrong. But in some cases, instead of dropping desu, what you'll be doing is this. Hi. Dozo, please read it. Debit card wa benri da. Actually, da is the plain form of desu. But why this da is needed, why it's not needed, I'll talk about it later. It's not important. Ikeyoshi does not need da. You can get rid of it altogether in plain form. Na-keyoshi, they need da. They cannot stand on their own. This da part applies for nouns also. Watashi wa sensei desu. If I want to say it casually or plain language, I would say watashi wa sensei da. So the plain form of desu is da. You see it used for na-adjectives and nouns. You still don't know plain form of masu. Masu is for verbs. We'll be learning about verbs. tomorrow. So don't worry about it just yet. So this is one thing. We're going to come back and practice tomorrow. I think we're out of time today and it's been an overload. So tomorrow we will start with practicing adjectives. And one very important thing, that is how to tell e-adjective and na-adjectives apart. Like when you see one, how do I know? Sometimes e-adjectives, na-adjectives may end with e sound. For example, what is the word for famous?
You may.
It ends with e, right? So how do I tell? How do I know this is na-adjective? We'll see that tomorrow. Hi. Today I'll end it with this, owarimasu. We will pick it up tomorrow. As I said, we'll be finishing lesson 7 and we will also be learning verbs for the first time tomorrow. It's very new territory. So please be here. I think the scholarship students will be here anyway. But those of you who are attending online, as far as possible, please do attend. Try not to be absent. It's a very important grammatical thing. And also it's more exciting new vocabulary, new sentences that we can suddenly say, talking about actions, right? Doing things. I eat, I run, I walk, I study, everything. I read, I buy. All of those things we're going to see tomorrow. It's a very important fundamental class. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll see everyone tomorrow. Bye. If you haven't completed lesson 6 homework, please do that today so I can review it and get back to you ASAP. Hi, 皆さん。今日はお疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございます、先生。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございました。どうぞ。
ありがとうございました。
はい、ありがとうございました。Attendance is compulsory actually. அது நீங்க கீழே தான். Actually, இது வரைக்கும் the thing about